Let me find it. So do you see a screen? Do you see my
Yes.
screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Because that's really the most important thing is you got to be able to see what I'm. Okay, here we got one. We got another one. I think I have about 10 or 15 people signed up.
Wow, nice showing.
Yeah. Well, you never know if everybody's going to show up. I've got somebody here that's been trying to get in twice and hasn't been able to get in. I don't know what that's about, but I can catch up with her later. So basically, I think I'm just gonna, yeah, it's 1:00. I'm just gonna do a general start. What we're gonna do is go over the online application for both the general operating support grant and also for the special project grant. A lot of you who've signed up, you're already familiar with the application process. There's not a lot of things different, but there's a few pieces of information that I'm getting that I want to get because I think it will improve scores. Because and at the end of this, also I'm going to show you the score sheet that the evaluators use when they're evaluating your grants. And I think that might help for you to see like the point system a little bit. So you know, like, oh, well, I missed putting that in my grant. Maybe I should just like beef that up a little bit. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So I think Terry's just going to have to keep trying. So in any case, what we're looking at right now, and you should be able to see it, is our general operating support grant. The very first thing you should do, of course, is to download the guidelines and look them over and make sure you read them carefully. General operating support does not require a match this year, or probably not in this. Usually it's like a 3-year cycle. I'm anticipating that in this 3-year cycle, we're not gonna need a match for general operating. It is only for arts grant, arts programs, arts, organizations. It's not for any other kind of organization. All the other organizations should, if they're doing, downtown revitalization or whatever, or it's a church group or whatever, they have to go through to the special projects grant. That one requires a match. And I originally thought that match needed to be a 1-to-1 match for every grant dollar. There had to be a dollar or in-kind amount equal to that. But from what it took me a while to pin them down. But according to Najiska, it's on the organization that's granting, which is us. And I think I'm comfortable with more of a, if you can show a 50%. For every dollar of grant you get 50 cents worth of either actual dollars, or it could be an in-kind donation, or it could be volunteer time. But we'll get to that a little bit later because that doesn't affect the general operating support grant. Though I have to say that no matter what, even if you don't, something like a match is not required, it always helps to show that you are able to do that. If you have those numbers, share them with us, because that just makes your application even stronger. And this is what I do also when I apply for the bigger grant that I re-grant to everybody. The bigger grant, I show them every single penny that I spend. That's pertinent. So download the guidelines. This past year, I noticed there was a conflict of interest certification that it wasn't required in previous years, but it is now. So I provided it here to save you some time. Let's see. So there's no grant match. So here is the application checklist. This is the first thing you're going to see in your application. It's the same for both the general operating support and also for the special project. You need to show me your designation letter. We need a copy of your charitable registration certificate. I'm including needing a copy of your organization bylaws. And the reason why is because it shows a certain amount of oversight that your board is doing. We want to see how your organization is run. A copy of your most recent audit, if you've had that. Otherwise, it would be just what your most recent IRS 990 form is, because you should be, putting those in every year. We need a list of board members with terms and lengths of service. And also, we'd like a really short bio. Because again, some of the feedback that I'm getting from our peer panelists is that we don't know what, how good is this board? Like, what is their background? Especially for the arts organizations, who are the people on your board and why did you choose them? So having a little idea of who they are. Sometimes it's really good to see, like, if you've got a lawyer on your board, that's a plus. It's not like you're getting extra points for that, but those kind of things kind of indicate you're seriously looking at all aspects of running a really good organization. Then what else do we need? We need your IRS W-9 form. I'd like to get this ahead of time so we can avoid a lot of headache. Because it always seems like it takes us such a long time to get, like, we'll send everybody a contract, we get the contract back, but we're missing different really important pieces of information. And I'm trying to capture some of them ahead of time that are easy, so that we don't have to keep going back to you and say, well, yeah, that's great, but you don't have this.
So do we email you a copy of it before we submit it into the form?
No. What you would do is you would download this form. You can download it online. I think I actually put a link to it further down. But if I didn't, I'll update the form so that it provides you with the link just to make it easier. No, all of these will be uploaded at the end through this application. So that's why I have this at the beginning, so you can get all that stuff ready and together before you get to the end and you realize, I don't have any of this done. So get this stuff done first. Make sure you have it all, squirreled away in a nice little folder, and then it'll be really easy to upload it at the end. New this year, which I know everybody's going to be thrilled about, is you can actually start the application, stop, and then continue. You don't have to do it all in one shot, because that was the worst. And it was just horrible.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I finally figured it out. It's like sometimes these little things are buried within an application and you can't, the actual program, and you can't find them. And I found it and we got it. So if you still have to go all the way down to the bottom of the screen, but see how it says save and resume later, you can do that. So let me go back up here. Let's see. All right, so I think poor Terry, she's still trying to get in. I think I already mentioned that you have to be in Burlington County. You cannot be an organization that's outside of Burlington County. You have a choice of what to click here. You can click Burlington County Arts Organization, or if you're something like you're a church, or you're a school, or you're any number of other things that's not your main focus, like a Main Street program, for instance, that you would click Burlington County Non-Arts Organization. I probably shouldn't even have this in here for the general operating. I may just remove it, because you can't be a non-arts organization and get funds from us. So for general operating, we want to see that your organization has been in existence for at least a year as of January 2025. And then it's all pretty much self-explanatory. Applicant organization name, the email that you want all your correspondence to go to, because very often we want to be able to reach out to you, and we want to reach out to you quickly. So I can't. I'm in the middle of a meeting, of course. Okay. So the next thing is the phone number, address, and then whoever your primary contact person is. Then we get into some stuff that's a little bit more involved. You've got cultural code, discipline code. This stuff you'll find up at the top where I said download this first. All this kind of information about where you find that kind of information is in that PDF. The state legislative district, we need to know that, and this is the link to get to it, to find out what your state legislative district is within Burlington County, and your mission statement. So everybody, that's pretty basic. Let's see. And then the project summary, which is just a snapshot of what your organization does. Let me see, I've got still trying to let people in the lobby. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 2 more. Okay, so anyway, all right, so we're up to.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, you're in. Yay, Terry. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
We kind of just really quick. I'm just going to review, download this stuff up at the top. Oh, here's audio too. Before you even start the application, these are all the documents that we're going to need. So you can check them off, but you'll be uploading them with the application at the end. That we're going over general operating support right now. You have to be within Burlington County, and for general operating, you also have to be an arts organization only. If I see non-arts organization clicked here, then I'm going to call you and tell you now you have to fill out the special project form, because we don't give monies, general operating support to non-arts organizations. Got to be in existence at least 1 year. There's this information that you need to fill in here that you can find in the manual. And then we'd like a mission statement. Everybody's got one of those, and a summary, real short snapshot. So that this is mostly for the peer panel, and also for the commissioners when they approve grant amounts. They don't want to read the entire grant, so they just want a really, really succinct 100 words, just what it is that you do and why it's important. And then the grant request, which everybody, of course, would love to get $16,000. Unfortunately, we can't give everybody $16,000, because if we are only given a certain amount of money to re-grant, and depending on the number of people that apply for general operating and for special project, we would not be able to afford to do that. So I want everybody to be really honest about your budget. You know, this says we're requiring a 1-to-1 match, but we are not for general operating. And we'll go into that a little further when we get to the special project. But just be really honest. What can we do? What can you do? What do you really need from us? You know, if you can support that you need $16,000 and you can spend it, and you can spend it wisely, we will try to give you as much as humanly possible. But we're also trying very hard to help smaller organizations that are just starting out too, as well, with their projects, to be able to give them a little bit of money as well. Then we've got our did you attend this? And, you know, so you just click it if you attended it. I'm actually recording it right now, so if anybody missed it, we can send it to you, and I will send it to everybody and post it online so that anybody can watch it again if they want to. Let's see what else. And I will not. You're not getting graded on whether or not you actually attend the workshop. I'd like to know who has and who hasn't, but there's no points. You don't get extra special brownie points for doing that. So if somebody can't attend a workshop, if their grant is well written, that's fine. Then it's fine. All right, now comes the tricky part, the ADA checklist. So this checklist comes from the Cultural Access Network of New Jersey, and you can look at all their resources online here. We would like everybody to have an ADA plan or be in the process of getting an AD or planning with their board. So again, this is not something that actually counts against you. It won't. As long as you're making progress, we're happy. But we do have to ask all these questions. These are the questions that we're required to ask of you. So the first one, of course, is, do you have one? Yes or no? And if no, please describe why. Then we go through all our facilities, and facilities are not just facilities where you are the tenant or you own the property. Facilities are also the places that you rent. If you're renting a place that is outside of where your organization is based, then you should also have an assessment of how accessible they are. And we can kind of blow through here a little bit. And if you have any other questions about it later, you can always call me and we can go through this checklist together if you have any specific questions about them. Trying to think. So ways, okay, go ahead. Somebody has a question? No? Okay. Let's see. So you can provide accommodations for people, and it doesn't mean you have to have them there and ready for anybody that needs them. We generally, what we do with the county is we say these things we will make accommodations to the best of our ability if we're given a certain amount of leeway, a timeline, like 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, a month out, depending on what it is. So you can get some of these things. A lot of the theater groups are very familiar with getting a hold of assisted listening devices and things like that when they're necessary. For a time here, our elevator was out for our annex gallery. So we got a huge TV screen and we had a staff person go through and film the entire exhibit so that somebody could come and at least be able to see what was up there, even if they couldn't actually, get up there. But now our elevator's fixed, so we're good. Let's see what else. So this is all about can you provide, and if you will provide, how much advance notice is required. They're pretty simple questions to answer. Then we get down to do you have an anti-discrimination policy? Do you have sensitivity training, grievance procedures? Grievance procedures is pretty basic. It's just like, what do you do when somebody's going to come and complain about something that's happening? What happens to that complaint? So that's all we're asking there. And then that's pretty much it for that you're in compliance. Okay. That's your designated access coordinator. You should have one person in your organization that you designate to be the person who deals with the ADA compliance and grievance procedure and all that. And then here comes the narrative. For those of you who have written this grant before, it is not very much different than it's been in the past. We're trying to make it easier for you to be able to submit this. We're not requiring 4 copies, each signed, dropped off or mailed. I feel like this, and I'm hoping you feel this way too, that this has simplified things considerably for you guys. So these questions, I'm not going to go into each of them, but it's basically, what have you done in the past and what are you planning on doing with this in the future? If there's any changes, staff and artists and, guest consultants, anybody new that you're using, describing your audience. Then there's always that pain in the neck. How do you define success? I always find that to be the most annoying of any grant question. Is how to define success, because is it the number of people that attend it? Is it in interviews or surveys, or but you just tell me, like, what kind of evaluative data you use. Here we usually have a post-event survey for our vendors. We're going to be instituting a survey of people who come to our galleries and who come to our events to find out what their favorite things are, and that kind of things. And attendance, of course, is very important, and I need you guys to be not only talking about it here, but understand that for reporting, for the final reports, attendance, like just to the minutia, they ask us from the New Jersey State Council of the Arts. They want to know a lot. So keep really good records of how many artists you use, what's the demographic of your audience, or who was served, those kind of things. And then, of course, we'd love to know a publicity plan. I found that a lot of our peer panelists are this kind of weighs heavily on them. They want to see how you're going to be promoting the stuff that you're doing, how you're going to get your information out there to your audience. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be for everyone. Everybody has a specific audience. You don't have. I tried to explain this once to one organization that had a very, very specific goal. As long as you show that you are doing your very specific goal, and it is reaching your audience, it doesn't have to reach everybody. You don't have to feel like you have to reach the world, but it should match what it is that is part of your mission statement. Let's see. And then just basically telling us how you use money in different ways. Whether most of it, if more than 50% of it is focused in a certain area, like possibly youth at risk, or if you've got a program, if your program this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying you've got a specific audience. If your specific audience is older adults, then that's where we want to see how your marketing is going out to them. Now, also, if you have any partnerships or collaborations with other arts organizations, or just generally any organization, either county, state, other arts organizations, other nonprofits, even businesses, what kind of partnerships. You can leave it blank if you don't have any. It's not required. And then if you have an ADA plan, you can put it in here. You can drag and drop in here, browse files, and that will upload at the end when you submit. So it's different this year. In the past, I've sent out an Excel spreadsheet, and there's been some confusion with it. So I think this might be a little easier if you just have to plug in the number exactly where we have it here. So staff salaries, technical production salaries, outside fees and services, that would be something that's not part of your general administrative budget. This would be artists that you're hiring, and other things like that. Technical people that you're, these are salaries, and these are paid to outside people. Then you have your operating expenses. These are pretty straightforward. And then projected income. Again, we're talking about general operating support here, mainly. Though the special project looks very similar. So earned income is admission fees, so you can go through these. I don't think I have to go through all of them individually. So corporate contributions, foundation contributions, government grants, understand that these are other than the grant that we're giving you. And then if you have any other income, and then there'll be a budget narrative. Okay, so the budget narrative is really important. So, because we've got all those numbers up there, but we need you to explain now what those numbers mean. So if you have government, let's say you have foundation contributions in the budget narrative, you would tell us who those foundation contributions are. So take each one of these categories that are up here, government grants, fundraising activities and events, and you'll need to explain all of this in your budget narrative, other than things like membership dues are pretty. And also, if you don't have membership, you just put a 0 in there. Just make sure that you put something in every single field. Let's see, where are we? Okay, and then we get down to the required documents, and then here's where you would, like, if you click on here, it's going to open. You're going to look for wherever you have stashed your file. So that's your 501c3 or whatever, 501c, whatever you are, designation letter, your charitable registration, copy of your latest income tax form, which would be a 990, or your audit, and then list of board members. And again, I think Terry and Les, you might have missed this, but we also want bios for them, because I found that our peer panelists, they want to know who is part of your organization and what is the reason they're there? Why do you have this person on the board? What is their background? And then a W-9 form. And we have a conflict of interest certification, which if you scroll back up, you can download that, fill it out, and then upload it. Okay, so supporting materials. It's good to have them. It's nice for the peer panelists to be able to see what you've done in the past. And if you have anything that's already supporting something that you're doing in the future, it would be good to see it. Even just, if you had a list of all the events that you're doing that are arts related, keeping that in mind. And then that's pretty much it. And then we've got that new feature, save and resume later, which when you click on that, you're going to see, you're going to see save and get link. So this is kind of important, because you don't want to lose this link, because then you've lost your application. So once you hit that, you can send it to yourself, and then great, you're all set. So you should be getting an email with that. Don't lose that, because then you have to start the application all over again. Now, I always advise people that it's kind of a good idea just to do the application in a Word document first. Don't try to do it in the actual online, because what if your computer just suddenly craps out on you and you haven't hit the save? Then you've lost all your work. So my big suggestion would be to do these side by side. So you write it down in Word so you have everything, and then just copy and paste it over into the grant application. Okay, now we're going to look at real quick at the LAP grant, the Special Project Support Grant, which is a little different. And what I was saying before is it took me a while, but they were not specific. New Jersey State Council of the Arts was not specific on what amount the match was. In the past, it's always been a 1-to-1 match, but that's not what they said. They just said there needed to be a match. So I kind of just kept bugging him. I said, well, how much of a match is this? Is it 1-to-1? Is it, a certain percentage, whatever? So they said it was really up to us. I've always felt like a 1-to-1 match is really hard for our smaller organizations. So I'd like to do it, for every dollar spent, I need to see 50 cents, half spent, either in cash donations, in sponsorships, or a combination of in-kind and cash. There has to be some cash Najiska requires that it can't all be in kind, but some of it can be. And in kind gets explained a little bit further down. It's the same same stuff you got to do here that you got to do with the general operating support and the ADA plan. All that's the same. The narrative is very similar. Let's see, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, this is where, yeah, okay, so then we're gonna go, then here's the earned income and cash match. So you're gonna do exactly the same thing that the general operating support does and put in the actual and then the cash match. This is actually the cash match. So if there is no expense in a category, just put 0. And same thing, corporate contributions, got down. Here's the in-kind match. So then you're going to do, the first one is like the cash, and this one would be the in-kind. And you would just put whatever numbers you come up with. Now, one of the things for in-kind, it's important to pay attention to your volunteers and how much time they're spending, because your volunteer time is worth money. So I added this little value of volunteer time. The current estimated national value of each volunteer is $34.79. And that's just your average volunteer. That's not your professional. Oh shoot, I just blew out of the wrong application. Hang on, got to get back in. Oh, sorry. So many forms. View live form. There it is. Okay, so we're back in here. So yeah, so I put that in there so that you can kind of evaluate what your volunteer support is like and get an adequate amount of money as a match, you know. But like I said, we can do some stuff as in kind, but there still has to be the majority of it. I was going to say 60% of your 50% needs to be a cash match, or as close as you can get to it. I don't think we're going to be that nitpicky, especially since it's me looking at them. So anyway, so in your budget narrative, you're going to say you're going to justify all the stuff, all the numbers that you put up here, especially anything that's other, that isn't obvious, like advertising and marketing is pretty obvious, you know, that I don't need to know. You can just like write a little bit about what your plans are in advertising and marketing, but I don't need a ton of information about that. And then your required documents and your supporting materials. And that's that. Okay, so that's the application. Does anybody have any questions so far about the application? Good.
My tiny question is, we did like the 990N, like the postcard, because our receipts were pretty,
Yeah,
is that
that's
okay?
fine. That's
Okay.
perfectly fine. Yep, yep. All right, so now what I want to look at, hold on, let me see if I can, oh, maybe somebody else is getting in. Somebody else a little late. All right, so now what we're going to look at is, let me share. Where is it? Window. Evaluation form. So what happens is we get, this year we're going to have the most peer panelists we've ever had. We've had anywhere between 2 and 4, and we're going to have 5 this year, which I really like. And they are from a broad range of disciplines. We have a couple visual artists. We have some multidisciplinary artists. We have a folk artist. They are coming from Rutgers. They're coming from Rowan. And it's a nice assortment that I feel like this year we have people that will understand everybody at some point, or if they don't understand everybody, somebody on the peer panel is going to say, but hey, this is how it works in the theater community, or this is how it works. So I feel like that you'll be well represented by the people who will be evaluating you. So basically, and I can send a blank one of these to you guys so
I was just
that
going
you
to ask that question.
yeah, I think I will. I'm just going to send a blank. It's going to be a little bit different this year, but not entirely. You have different category criteria that they're looking at. They're looking at how sound your project is, how unique your project is, and there's points for each of these. Does it demonstrate artistic excellence? Does it clearly document who will be paid and how they are qualified? Does it demonstrate unique opportunities for the audience or for the artist? Do you have realistic goals? In this case, I took off the name of the organization, but they will give the maximum amount of points is 10 for each of these questions. So understandably, this is one of the most important things. The next thing is, so this organization got 7s, which is pretty good, and 9 and another 7. And then also your board governance. This is where it comes in, like we really need to see bios because that shows evidence of your board expertise. That whether they are qualified to oversee an organization doing this kind of project. So in this case, this organization got really low marks because both board members and artists were the same people. I don't love that. So if you do not have a diverse board now, I mean, it's not like you're not good. This organization got funded. So even though some of the scores were low, it's important to think about having a very fair board to oversee your work. Let's see, and then also got a kind of a low score with fundraising versus grant funding. So even though this particular one was a special project grant, it was just an activity that a non-art organization was doing. So they were kind of like wondering, well, you're depending a little too heavily on the grant, and we'd like to see a little more money coming from your organization to back up this project if you really want to do it. Now, like I said, that's what's going to show up there is in your in-kind and your cash support. Even if you don't have a lot, put whatever you have there. Let's see what else we got here. The ability of the applicant to execute this project within the confines of the budget. And then with this one, they had a great budget description. They weren't quite sure about the administration costs. They seemed a little high, and they couldn't make the match. But it didn't matter that year because that year we weren't asking for a match from anyone, but now we are. So we need to see where you're going to do the match. So we've got here, let's see, very accessible. So stellar points here, provided ADA compliance, programs. They would like to know more about the marketing plan. So when you have this, you'll find out, you'll write more about that in your budget narrative. So even though we don't need to know 100% what your plans are about marketing your stuff, it helps to know a little bit. And it's better to overwrite than underwrite. And then there's just the completeness and overall quality of the grant application, including the support materials. Now, this is where the support materials come in pretty heavily. So that's 5 points there. They got a 3. So their total points out of 100 were 69. So their score was 69%. Generally, additional comments, the peer panelists will write in this area here. And what I do, when the letters get sent out, you'll get your score, but I'll also put in all the comments so that you know how to improve your grant for next year. So yeah, so I will definitely send a copy of this, or at least the scoring, out to you so that you know how you're being evaluated. And I think that's where we kind of fell down on it in the past. So, any questions about that? So I guess we're doing it in an hour, under an hour, which is pretty great. If anybody wants to stay on a little longer that missed the beginning, because I know some of you arrived late, see if I can get out of here. Oops, stop sharing. Then anybody who's feels like they're comfortable with the information they've gotten. Yes, Patty.
I have a question. So
Sure.
once because this is the first time I'm doing this, Lynn.
Sure.
So-
No, absolutely.
So I'll probably have more questions for you offline. I don't want to take up everybody's time. But the big question for me is once we submit it,
Right.
and then we're going to get evaluated and we'll find out yes or no, we get it or not. If we do get it, what is our follow-up? Like, how does everything proceed after we get
Okay,
some type of...
So that's a really good question. So what happens is,
Oh,
and
good.
this is the slow wheels of government have to churn through. Yeah. So what happens is the peer panelists will give me all their scores, and then I glom everything together into a report for the commissioners. Along with the peer panelists also make recommendations, knowing what the entire grant amount is and how to divvy it up to anyone and everyone that's getting a grant. Now, I will tell you that it is that the only one time have we not given some money of some sort to somebody. And it was because it was just so completely self-serving. It was one guy who invented a nonprofit, and it wasn't even a year old, and it was clear it was just so that he could do his project. So he didn't get any money, but everybody else does. You will get something. You'll get something. But we like to give a little bit of something. You will most likely not get exactly what you're asking for. Even if you're like 100%, you probably will not get it. And if you ask for something that's more reasonable in your budget, the peer panelists are not stupid. They can look at it and go, oh, they're just going for the maximum because that's the maximum. Be reasonable. Tell us what you really need, and they'll do their best to get everybody what they need to be able to do their projects. That's generally, as long as it's a good project, we want to be able to help you and fund you and support you, but we can't we can't give everybody everything they want. And also, we're also looking at this as kind of a step up. Eventually, when your organizations become stable enough, large enough, expanded enough, you can go for state grants yourself, but not while you're getting grants with us. So it's at a certain point you're going to have to make the decision. Like I'll give the example of Perkins Arts Center, who, by the way, is one of our peer panelists. They don't ask for grants from us. They're within Burlington County. They're a nonprofit organization. They certainly could ask for a grant, but they have reached a level with their organization that they don't need our smaller grants. Our grants are for smaller organizations that don't have the legs underneath them yet. But we're hoping eventually you do, and then you'll be able to apply yourselves to the state grants. So this is almost like training wheels. The things we're doing here, it's much more intense for the grant for the state. So we'll help you as much as you can, and then hopefully, you will rise as organizations and be able to be even more effective.
One of my other question was in regards to some of the forms like the 501c, et cetera. Do you need a certificate of liability insurance?
that doesn't come, we will need that at the time that, that you accept the grant. So what will happen is, well, it goes through to the commissioners, they agree, blah, blah, blah. At a certain point, I finally get the go-ahead to send out the letters saying you have this, and we send out the actual contract, the agreement. And with that agreement, there's several pieces that are separate. We'll already have your W-9, so don't have to worry about that. So all we're going to need then, and that is a problem that we ran into this year a little bit, was, of course, we need the certificate of liability, COI, naming the commissioners and Burlington County not liable for anything horrible that happens to you, and or anybody involved with you, the typical insurance stuff. Then we're also going to need, if you have employees, then it's pretty much, what to do with that. If you don't have employees and you don't have a company vehicle, we're going to need a letter from you saying, on your letterhead, we don't have employees and we don't have a company vehicle. So we don't have to, we're not subject to workman's compensation insurance, because that's part of the COI process. And we also don't need your vehicle insurance because you don't have one. So
I have a quick question.
Thank you.
Sure.
Quick question. That evaluation form that you were showing, is that
Yes.
available online? A sample of that?
It isn't, but you know what I'm going to do when I get off of here? I'm going to do like a version of it so that I can put it up there so you can download it. And for everybody who attended today, I'll send them both a copy of that form and also the recording of this so that you can, check back and look
Great.
again. Sure, no problem. I'm trying to think of what else. Okay, so then what happens after you get that contract? You send the contract, and now that has to be, the contract itself cannot be emailed. I've tried to do this as much digitally as possible, but our legal department wants, I forget how many copies, I think it's 3, and they have to be printed, signed, and witnessed. So, it's not just you have to have somebody next to you going, yep, they signed it. So that needs to happen. They don't have to be notarized, but they do have to be witnessed. And then you will mail them back. And I highly recommend you mail them back certified, so you know that somebody signed for them at the other end. Because we've had a couple instances where, but I mailed it. Do not drop them off. Because also it's happened in the past that things have gotten dropped off at offices, and then no one ever, it gets stuffed under a pile of something, so mail them, certified, who accepted it. That's the way to go. It's, a little more expensive, but it's worth it. And you can work that into your budget for, mailing expenses, because I do believe there is a postage category in there. So work that into the budget too, that you expect to certify mail these. You don't have to tell me that, but
And for
seriously.
ADA, Lynn,
Yes.
if we use the JFK Recreational Center in Willingboro, do I need to get the ADA plan from them?
If they have one, that's great.
Okay.
Otherwise, just fill out what you've got, the questions that are in there, and then your organization should probably have their own a little bit too. Your organization should already be thinking about like how, because I don't know, maybe does JFK do things like assisted listening devices or anything like that? Do they have them on site?
We don't even have access to internet when we're there. So that's one of the things
so that's not happening.
Yeah,
So-
but we have, that's why we do Zoom so much, is because then our people can hear it, listen to it. The ones that are in
That's
mobile
brilliant.
will go through Zoom. So we do a lot through Zoom.
Oh, but see, that's brilliant. And that's really, thank you for sharing that here, because that is also something, and you should write that in there.
Oh, yes.
At
that's what's
someplace, because that is brilliant. And that shows a workaround when you can't access, the high tech stuff, that you actually do have you're thinking along those lines. That's brilliant, really good.
Good.
Let's see. So any other questions in general? And does anybody want to stay on a little bit later?
Lynn, I have one question.
Sure.
If we receive the grant, let's say, we processed everybody got their grant, will we be able to advertise or promote our program in the county quarterly program book, the one that comes out for the season?
No, they don't.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know what? Having said that, let me make a little note of that. County quarterly. I'm thinking the answer is probably no, but maybe not. So that's a really good idea. Let me see what I can do about that.
Yeah. Even if it's just a little blurb of saying the organization, date, time, like the little.
Yeah, what I've asked for in the past, but nobody's really done it, is I've said, send me your information as it's happening, because I can post it on Facebook, that on our county Facebook, that kind of thing. So yeah, so for marketing, yeah, let me.
Do we
But
send
let
it
me
to
look.
you directly? Lynn, do we
Send it
to
to
you
me directly. Me directly, yes. Yeah, because I'm happy to throw up, oh, this is happening this weekend. There's still tickets available, or any of that kind of thing. Especially if you're a re-grantee, but it has to be kind of specific to the project that you're doing.
Right.
So, because I'm thinking
not anything. But I figured, like I said, if the funding's coming from the county and the state arts council, could we?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can. And also, that's another thing. I always send out the logos. Make sure that you've got those logos on everything that you do. On your whatever you do. just throw those up there. It's good.
Okay.
Gives you brownie points, maybe not actual points, but definitely. And it is required. It is required. Not that we check that carefully, but we would appreciate it.
Well, with that being said, what is the correct title for the Burlington County Commissioners for this grant?
Okay, it's well, I'll send the language out because I always mess it up when I try to say it, but it's I even forget what they're called, because it used to be the freeholders, but now
they're
it's
commissioners.
now I'll send that out.
Okay.
And once we send out the stuff, I always send out and this is what you're supposed to say at the bottom, and we've condensed it so it's smaller, so you don't have to use up a large portion of your flyer for a bunch of nonsense. So
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, cool. Oh, anybody else?
I'm sorry, I joined late. I had a meeting that conflicted, but I saw Phil from our organization was also on, so he covered for me. But I had a question. In the past, we've done the project grants, and it sounds like that's what you guys were talking about.
Mhm.
I don't know if you touched on the general operating support at all, and what, if anything, if we move from the project grant to the GOS grant, what if anything else we need to know, anything we'll do differently? So kind of
Right.
curious about that.
Well, the general operating support, it has to be, you have had to have done special project grants with us in the past. So that's the first thing. You have to be a completely arts organization only. Your mission can't be history. It can't be, it has to be 100% arts. So like a theater group, 100% can go for the general operating. But let's say, I'm going to use the example of Main Street since Terry's here. That Main Street Mount Holly can only ever go for special project grants because their mission is economic development primarily, and it's using arts for economic development, which fits into our special projects, but it would not fit in for general operating. But an
We're
art
an
center,
orchestra, so that's pretty artsy.
what's that?
We're an orchestra, so it's pretty artsy.
Oh yeah, no, you're 100%. You could go for for a general operating support fund if you can support, if you can show all the general stuff that you need. If you've got all the paperwork, you could go for that. You could also try to go for both, and then see which one you get, if you're a
I
little
didn't
worried.
realize, yeah, I didn't realize that you could go for both.
You
That's good to
can't
know.
get both. You can't get both, but you
Go
could,
for
but
both.
I don't see any
That's
reason
good to
why,
know. Okay.
I don't see any reason why you shouldn't do that unless, yeah, no, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be able to apply for both and then see what happens. You'd have to do 2 applications, but I mean, they're fairly similar, so.
Lynn, one more question. Shannon,
Sure.
do you have any more questions, Shannon?
Not yet.
Okay.
Go ahead, Terry.
Speaking of this, since you brought up Main Street, and that's one of the reasons I'm on, do you, if Main Street had a lot of different art projects, can I do more than one grant from Main Street? No, just this cycle is just one.
No,
for-
just
okay.
one. It's just
Just-
one project per organization. Nice try, though.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
No problem. All right. Is that it? I think we can sign off, and you guys, thanks. We managed to keep it just a little over an hour. And
Thank you.
that's my favorite kind of meeting. Just an hour. That's it. Done. All
Thank you very
right.
much.
Thank you very
All
much
right.
for your time. Then. Nice meeting
you.
everybody.
Nice.
Yeah,
meeting
really, it was
everybody.
under
If you
because you
haven't-
opened the meeting early, so we actually kept it under an hour. Well done.
Oh,
Wow.
Cool.
nicely done.
good.
Yeah.
Point.
That works,
Good
that
point.
works. All right, see ya.
All right.
Okay.
Bye bye,
Cool.
everybody.
Bye,
Thanks, Lynn.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.